Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Again, good hearing. It's timely. I thank both of you for your service to our country. Mr. Ambassador, a lot has been discussed this morning about metrics and milestones. And on the ledger of our milestones and the the Karzai government's milestones as that we try to achieve these metrics, one of the early, I think, determinations as to whether or not they're achieving them is in the naming of his cabinet. Defense Minister Wardak, I guess, is leaving, and another minister is leaving as well, as I've heard. Whether or not President Karzai is able to turn the page, it seems to me is going to be evident in these early appointments. When will they be completed, and what's your sense of that process? I mean, will we be able to determine, for example, by the end of January, when he finishes that process, how that milestone has been achieved?
Congressman, the President Karzai, in his inauguration speech that was attended by Secretary Clinton, he made a commitment in that inauguration speech to the appointment of qualified, responsible individuals in his second administration.
Right, and proof's in the pudding.
And it is. It was interesting, though, Congressman, when he said that, he got a spontaneous round of applause from the Afghans in attendance. So it's the Afghans who have high expectations. Well, to answer your specific question, we expect his cabinet announcements to be made relatively soon, within the next several days, before the Parliament goes on its recess, because these nominees would have to be approved by the Parliament. Some speculation.
So we should get a good judgment here very soon as it relates to the cabinet selections.
Yeah, and it will be very important.
And then how does that relate then follow through to the governors, that some that have been closely associated, we believe, with this narco trade?
We believe, Congressman, that after the initial announcements of cabinet ministers, that subsequently there'll be changes in the governors. Congressman, if I could, though, I'd like to emphasize that the cabinet of Afghanistan, President Karzai's cabinet, has got a lot of very well-qualified people in it. The Minister of Defense, Interior, Finance, Commerce, Agriculture, Education, Health. These are world-class ministers. They're challenged because they don't have the human capital right now, given the 30 years that they have underneath. But we're making progress.
Because of my time, I want to shift over here. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. General McChrystal, we talk about the Army and the police force and the training that's taking place there. And I don't want to get into a discussion of semantics, but I think that part of this whole effort is akin to nation building, because you're not going to be able to have a solid military or a police force unless you've got the credibility and you're relatively corrupt-free. What are since we're now taking over the training, especially in the police force, and I've been there several times and I've heard all sorts of anecdotal stories I won't go into that talks about the dismay of our ability to do so. We're taking over the complete training of the police force now. Is that correct?
Well, NATO training mission Afghanistan is part of that, so it's the whole coalition is doing that, sir.
Okay, but are these people with police backgrounds training the police, or is this the military training the police, and are we going to end up with a paramilitary police force?
It's a combination. There are policemen that have been hired to do it. There are gendarmerie from European partners, and then there's some military as well.
Ambassador, back to you on the smart power issue, and I've been a big proponent of that. I've talked to the Secretary of State about this. We saw about the investments of the housing that got involved in corruption, and $8 million, other anecdotal stories where money has been wasted, the housing has been occupied, it's been substandard. What efforts are we pursuing to correct those kinds of investments in infrastructure?
We have many.
Learning from Iraq.
Yeah, let me highlight. We have many. Let me highlight two. First of all, in terms of how we're contracting, we think that we're designing contracts in a much better way that improve performance and transparency. Secondly, in terms of audit and oversight, have many means for that. I want to emphasize that we think the most important is exactly with the United States Congress. As you know, you have the special investigator for Afghanistan reconstruction, which provides oversight for DOD and state and USAID efforts. We think that is a very important
Quickly,
oversight
Mr.
tool.
Ambassador, are you familiar with the Afstar Hospital in Kabul?
Sir, I am not.
Okay, I want to make you aware of that. It's a success story that has not really, we've not participated in, but Americans have made it happen.
We'll get with you on that, sir.
The time of the gentleman has expired. The gentleman from Florida, Mr. Bilrakis, is recognized for